Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. As a field biologist, I am absolutely thrilled to take you on a journey today into the wildly dynamic survival strategies of plants. You know, every single time I step out into the wild, I'm reminded of this one crucial fact. The idea that plants just sit still, yeah, that's a total illusion. What we're actually looking at is a constant, invisible migration.
So let's dive right into the core mystery our source material poses today. If plants are rooted to the ground, completely immobile, how on earth do they manage to travel, spread, and, well, colonize the entire globe? It's kind of a huge paradox, right? A plant is anchored by its root system. It can't just pack up and walk away when conditions get tough. And yet, plant life literally covers almost every corner of the earth.
When we get down close to the forest floor out here in the field, we aren't just looking at some pretty greenery. No, we are witnessing a fierce, ongoing battle for survival. I mean, it might look totally peaceful to a casual hiker, but underneath that quiet green canopy, it's an absolute war zone for resources. Every single millimeter of soil absolutely counts.
Think about what happens if seeds just fall straight down from their parent tree. They immediately run into what we call conspecific competition. Basically, they are forced to fight their own parents and siblings for the exact same life-giving resources. They're competing for every drop of water, every tiny ray of light, and every vital soil nutrient. For a tiny seedling, honestly, that's a losing battle.
So, to survive, they need a master escape plan, and we call this seed dispersal. It's exactly what it sounds like, the detachment and scattering of the seeds away from the parent plant. By moving to entirely new environments, whether through abiotic or biotic factors, they actually stand a chance. They can germinate in better conditions and completely dodge that deadly family feud for resources.
All right, moving into Section 1, Abiotic Dispersal Mechanisms. Let's look at how plants harness wind and water.
To harness the raw power of nature, like the wind, plants use some seriously incredible biomechanical engineering. We call this anemochory. Now, to float away, obviously, these seeds need to be incredibly light, but just look at these specialized shapes. We've got gliders like the alcimedra with its lateral wings, classic parachutes like the dandelion you've probably blown on as a kid, and little helicopters like maple seats that use a fibrous wing to spin to distant sights. It's literally perfectly evolved flight.
And when we bring water into the mix, the journey gets even more epic. For waterborne seeds, which use a method called Hydrochory, these specific steps guarantee they can survive for months at sea. First, they drop near the water. Then, they rely on built-in buoyant air pockets and super tough, water-impermeable shells to keep from rotting. They just float on ocean currents until they finally wash ashore and rapidly root in a brand new home.
Okay, Section 2, Autochorous Dispersal. Let's talk about built-in explosions and gravity.
Now, some plants don't want to wait around for a strong breeze or a river. They take matters entirely into their own hands. If you examine the seed pods of, say, peas or milkweed out in the field, you'll spot something amazing. As they dry out in the sun, this intense internal tension and turgor pressure builds up inside them. They become practically like loaded springs, just waiting to hit their breaking point.
And then, bam, through a spectacular mechanism called Ecological, the pod violently shatters in what scientists call explosive dehiscence. It literally shoots the seeds rapidly away from the parent plant. No wind, no water, just a completely self-powered and incredibly effective natural cannon.
This brilliantly highlights the contrast between two very different strategies, explosive autochory and barochory. While balochory relies on that violent self-explosion we just talked about, barochory is, well, much simpler. It's when heavy fruits, like apples or coconuts, simply drop to the ground thanks to gravity. They literally just lie there, waiting for the next phase of their journey. Usually, they're just waiting for a hungry animal to stroll by.
Which perfectly transitions us into Section 3, Biotic Dispersal. Let's meet the living couriers.
This brings us to my absolute favorite part of the field log, Zoochory. This is where plants actively enlist the animal kingdom. You see, plants have evolved these magnificent, fleshy fruits with highly specific shapes, bright colors, and enticing scents. And that's not by accident. It's a carefully calculated reward. They are offering a nutritious, delicious meal in exchange for the heavy lifting of transportation.
The really crucial point here is the difference in how they're transported. Over on the left, we have Zoochory. This is the indirect method, basically hitchhiking. These seeds use tiny adhesive spines and barbs to stick to the outside of an animal's fur. Then on the right, we have Zoochory, the direct method. An animal actually eats the fleshy fruit, the incredibly tough seed survives the trip through the digestive tract, and it gets dispersed in a totally new location via, well, animal defecates or bird droppings.
When you're out here observing, you see some highly specialized relationships. Take ants, for instance. They do a process called myrmecochory. Ants will carry seeds underground specifically to eat this tasty, lipid-rich attachment on the outside called an elaiosome. They eat their little snack, discard the seed totally unharmed in their middens, and end up acting as nature's tiny gardeners. Then you've got squirrels inadvertently planting entire oak forests by forgetting where they buried their acorns, and birds spreading seeds from high altitudes over massive geographic areas. It's a brilliant system.
Next up is Section 4, Anthropochory. Let's talk about the human element.
Obviously, we humans are a huge part of this ecosystem too, and we are unprecedented spreaders of plant life. Through farming, we purposefully cultivate massive populations, but we also do it entirely by accident all the time, just by walking through the brush and getting seeds stuck to our clothes, or by driving our cars across state lines. We inadvertently transport seeds across huge distances. We're effectively a superhighway for seed dispersal.
Finally, Section 5, the Evolutionary Master Plan, all about maximizing survival and continuity.
Let's take a step back for a second and look at the broader master plan here. You see, plants aren't just crossing geographical space to find a new habitat. They're actually dispersing through time, too. Certain groups, known as serotinous plants, use a period of dormancy. Their seeds essentially wait, sometimes for years, until very specific environmental stimuli, like a fire, trigger them to finally wake up and germinate.
As our source material points out, this is ultimately a passive process in which the parent plant does not decide the destination of offspring. Yet this seemingly blind scattering, whether it's by air, water, an animal's digestive tract, or an explosive pod, guarantees genetic mixing. It gives every single seedling a fair chance to grow, it allows for the colonization of entirely new habitats, and it absolutely ensures the long-term survival of the species.
Well, as we pack up our field gear for today, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Given our unparalleled global reach and the millions of vehicles moving across the planet every single day, how are we fundamentally altering and inadvertently re-engineering the future of plant life on Earth right now? The next time you pull a burr off your sock after a hike, remember, you are playing a key role in a millions of years old evolutionary master plan. Keep exploring, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.